The story of the movie begins, and we are told that every year on the highway of America, 45,000 people die. After that, we see a boy named Jim who is standing next to his car and waiting for his girlfriend Grace. Actually, people are going to New Mexico City for a trip. After a while, there is a mess, and people get in their car and move towards Mexico City, and a worm comes and hits the car from a distance that spreads blood all over the glass, which is not able to drive their car properly on the highway. So he cleans the worm with the bottle of water and the car's wiper, and then people move forward, and now it gets dark as they move forward, and it starts to rain heavily on the highway. But then a man comes to Heyo's car to save him. Jim takes care of his car and tries to control it. During this time, Jim gets into a terrible accident. Jim was very angry with that man. He wants to vent his anger on him by stopping his car. But Grace stops him from doing so. Here we see that man who is moving towards Jim and Grace from his parked car. Jim tries to start his car and get out of there. But after trying again and again, the car starts, after which Grace and Jim go away. Now after this incident, they somehow manage themselves, and they come to a gas station because the journey was long and they didn't have anything to eat. After which Jim goes into the soap and tells the soapkeeper that he met a man on the highway. Maybe he needed help, after which Jim starts to put a pantol in his car. Then the same car appears in which the same man comes out, after seeing which Jim is completely embarrassed and starts to ignore him. After that, the man goes inside the soap and tells the soapkeeper all his problems, that his car has broken down and he has to go to a motel nearby. Then Jim also comes to the soapkeeper, where the soapkeeper asks, was he talking about this man who was stuck on the highway? Then Jim apologizes to that man about the whole incident. He says that it was actually late night and we didn't understand anything, so we left. This man here tells his name John and forgives Jim. Then Grace comes there too. After this, John tells Jim and Grace that he has to go to a nearby hotel and his car has broken down. Can they give him a lift to the motel? So Jim agrees to give him a lift without thinking about anything. After that, the three people get in the car and go from there. After a little further, John tells Jim that his girlfriend Grace is much more beautiful. And John also makes some wrong comments about Grace, which makes him angry, and says something wrong about John's wife, which makes John very angry, and he breaks the phone of the Jim in the car and tries to scare the Jim by taking out the knife he has with him. Now seeing all this, Grace tries to call the police, but John catches her and stabs her neck and forces the Jim to drive the car. Jim and Grace were completely scared. They don't understand at all that, after all, John. Now after this, Jim hits the car with a brake hard, because of which John gets hit by a windglass and gets injured. Now Jim kicks him out of the car after getting the chance and runs away with the car from there with a speed. They were both very scared, and somehow people continued their journey. They get up early in the morning. In the morning, a car appears on the highway, inside which a family was present who were going on a trip. Jim and Grace are very happy to see them and try to forget the incident that happened last night. But then they see that John is also in that car, who has asked for a lift from those family members who are actually with them to finish them off. Jim thinks that we should not get involved in all this, but Grace tells him that we have to help that family, otherwise John can harm everyone. Now, assuming Grace's words, Jim takes his car to their car, or Grace tells that family that is dangerous, which can attack them at any time, but in the meantime, a big truck comes in front of the highway. Jim tries to control the car to escape it, but the car gets off the highway and falls near the river, and they have an accident and they both get saved. But now they had no option to move towards the city, so they start moving towards the city, and the cars coming on the highway try to ask for a lift, but no one gives them a lift. He goes inside and calls the police, and he himself sits in the car and tries to stop the man's blood. Here, Grace goes to the restaurant and tells a waiter to call the police quickly. He goes to the bathroom saying this. When he sees John's car again, he hides in the bathroom. But after a while, a policeman comes there who takes him to the gunpoint, and there are more policemen who arrest Jim and Grace. The police are trying to help the man's family. They have not killed him, but the police do not listen to them and take them to the police station, where the police do not know anything about Grace. Grace tells them that they have not killed that family. A man named John has killed them, but the police do not listen to them. Here we see John, who has come to the same police station, who goes to the gym which was kept in a separate cell, and tries to kill him, which shows the dead body of many police officers who have been killed by John. Grace points a gun at John and takes Jim away. After this, we see the scene of police station where some big police officers have come. One of them says to his colleagues, Jim and Grace are not that dangerous criminals, and their last record is not that they can kill those policemen out of fear. He says that maybe this police officer has been killed by some third person who is trying to kill Jim and Grace. On the other hand, we see Jim and Grace who run away and hide at one place. Then they see a police car there which has a police bar outside, which was actually searching for Jim. And Grace tells Jim that he shouldn't run and should try to explain to the police. Grace says that Jim goes out to talk to the police and explain everything to them. But when the police officers arrest him and he contacts his senior police officer that he has arrested a suspect, but then Grace comes there with a gun in her hands and asks the police officer to point the gun and leave. But then we see that the police officer has been shot and he dies, and this bullet is not an ornament but a gun, so that the death of this policeman is blamed on Jim and Grace. Now let's see all this together with the police officer, and they also feel that the police is behind them. Jim and Grace run away with the police car, and we see that the whole city police was behind them. We also see some police officers in the helicopter who are following Jim and Grace's car. Then we see a car on the highway, which is moving very fast, and there was no one else in the car, but John was present, which kills all the policemen one by one, and also kills the policemen present in the helicopter. Now, seeing all this happening, Jim and Grace get scared, and they leave the car on the highway and go to a hotel in the city and hide, where after resting for a while, they leave Grace in the same hotel and go out to ask for help. Grace stays in the same hotel and tries to forget everything and starts watching TV. But then John comes there. But Grace somehow runs away from there and comes out to find Jim, where Jim finds him tied up with a truck, which John has tied up. John starts moving the other truck forward, which was tied up by Jim, but Grace stops him from doing so. John does not listen to him, and he tells him that if he wants to save Jim's life, he will have to kill John. Now, after hearing this, Grace is very scared, but then a lot of police officers come there who tell Grace to surrender. Although those policemen don't know who the real murderer is, the policemen tell Grace to put down the gun. But during that time, Grace's hands drop the gun, and John catches her and says that because of her, her boyfriend Jim will die. And as soon as he sees, John moves that truck forward, because of which 2 pieces of Jim's body are cut off. And then the policemen arrest John and take Grace with them, where senior officer tells Grace that the man she is talking about is not John. Actually, they don't know who is this man and why is he killing people and doing such things. They don't know anything about it. And when police goes to question John, they find out that John is a psycho who is completely crazy because John was giving answers to the police in a strange way. And then John takes her to another jail, and Grace is also going with him in the other car with the police officer. But the bus that John was in on the way, he breaks a ring in his hands and looses all his handcuffs and kills all the police officers in the bus. And now he tries to run away from there, which causes a huge accident, and the bus collides with Grace and the police officer's car. Now Grace gets angry, and now she wants to kill John at any cost. She takes the gun of the police officer and moves forward to kill John, and she goes to the same bus where John was present. Now, as she opens the gate of the bus, the inside is John, and he holds him and locks him inside the bus. And due to the accident, the bus's diesel is falling down, which causes a huge blast in the bus, and this is how John is freed, and he shoots the police officer with his gun and kills him. But after a while, we see that Grace was not dead. Yet she leaves the burning bus, and with the help of a shotgun in her hands, she kills John on the same height. And this is how she takes revenge for her boyfriend Jim's death from John. And with this scene, the movie ends. So friends, if you like this story, then please like the video. And to get more interesting videos like this, please subscribe to our channel.